All right. Hey, everybody. So this is going to be our virtual session of today's class since we had President's Day today, Monday, February the 20th. I mentioned to you guys that I would just go ahead and record the class session instead of going ahead and doing it the traditional method, being in class and everything since it's a holiday. So please make sure you guys watch this full video in its entirety, just so that you guys can be aware of what we have going on because, of course, we have homework. Not going to skip out on the homework. That'll be due next Monday. So if you have any questions, of course, I'll be available via email. You can always contact me. Hopefully the audio, I'm using my laptop here for just the audio portion because I'm at the campus and they don't have like microphones and stuff like that. So I've got my laptop set up with the video and the audio, and then on this computer, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and all that good stuff. So let's get started. So today's classes is going to be all about AutoCAD's layers, and layers actually come in really big handy. Just really depends on what you are working on. But in my opinion, everything that you do should be placed into separate layers. So I will go ahead and well, let's first share my screen, and hopefully there's no feedback. I might have to do this video over here again, depending on how much feedback there is from my laptop over to this computer. But I think I've got that straightened out. So let's first share application or screen, and we want to share Autodesk. All right, so it looks like it's up. It's sharing. Looks a little bit grainy, but that should focus itself out here. Wi-Fi on campus is actually pretty good. So um, let's see. So first thing we're going to do is just open up a brand new session here. And as I mentioned, so we're going to be going over what is called layers. With layers, we've got a few things to talk about. The main ones is going to be the actual layer itself. Then we have to talk about the layer properties. And we have to talk about how to turn off and turn back on layers, like we call them freezing it or turn on and off, and so on and so forth. For the layer, if you want to just type it in, it is just literally just layer, Layer. Again, we can do it here, or we can come down here as well. Loading AECI ribbon UI API. I think I had this issue. I'm not sure what exactly this is. I think I had this issue a couple days ago. Like a whole bunch of stuff needs to update or something like that. So this may not. We may have to wait a few seconds just until this finishes loading, but we'll see here. But yeah, so we could type in layer Layer. Of course, that'll pop up. We got our layer here. If you don't want to type it in, layer is like literally right here in the middle of the screen up here at the top. We have a couple of drop downs to go through as well, but it's up to you if you want to use that. The main thing is going to be your layer properties, which is right here. So you can manage all your layers. And then also right here where you can actually set the layers. Currently right now we only have one layer. It's always going to be the 0 layer. So really not much we have to do there. From there, we also have a couple of different options. These options here, top and bottom, they are just essentially going to be the opposites of each other. So the top one here is to turn off a layer, while the bottom one here is to turn on a layer, or in this case, turn on all layers. Here is going to be unisolate, while here is isolate. This one next to it is going to be freeze. Below is going to be thaw. Up here is going to be lock a layer. Down here is going to be unlock a layer. Then we have make current, and we have also match layer. So make current is just if you have a object that you click on that is on a separate layer, and you want to make that the current layer, then you can click on that. It makes it really easy doing it that way versus coming up here, finding a whole list of layers that you have in store, and then going from there. Then also we have match layer, which is if you have the properties of one layer, you want to match another layer, then we can do that as well. Down here under our drop down for our layers, we have a few other options as well. Previous, change the current layer, copy objects to a new layer, layer walking, um, viewpoint freeze, merge, and delete. I think we may or may not go through really any of these. Um, yeah, sometimes I go through them, sometimes I don't. Just kind of all depends. These aren't a major issue as far as layers go, but we could touch on them just a little bit. All right. So the first thing that I usually like to do when I'm starting drawing is first off just go ahead and set all my layers. When I'm setting the layers, I just have to think ahead and say, okay, what all do I have? What all do I need? And then kind of go from there. So I'll just go ahead and click on my layer properties. Then I'll bring this here just to the middle of the screen. Um, and I'm kind of seeing now on my laptop that this is not showing because I'm only sharing my my AutoCAD, which is not, for whatever reason, the AutoCAD does not register all of AutoCAD as far as part of the screen. So let me change this share method real quick. Stop sharing. Now share application. I'm just going to go ahead and share the entire desktop. That'll be a whole lot better. Um, that come up real quick. All right, so now I'm sharing my entire desktop, and I'll come over here to my AutoCAD. So now when I click on, so that means you guys probably didn't see like the layers. When I hit the drop down for layers, this is what I was talking about here. In regards to previous, change current layer, copy objects, layer walking, VP freeze, merging, delete. This is what I was showing here. Sorry about that. You probably did see all these other items though when these popped up. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this here. Yeah, so you saw this also. So that's really all I did so far. I did type in layers. Did you guys see that? Okay, yeah, so you guys saw that also. So um, we're pretty much caught up to speed here. Nothing too far that you guys missed. But what I did click on was layer properties, and that did not show. So now we're back on that. I'll go ahead and increase the size on this here. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty well. And then I will just change these a bit. Yeah, that's good there. Actually, I might want to do, I'm gonna start from this end. Really what I'm doing now, you don't have to do, is just so that you guys can see what's going on. All right, so the first thing that I like to do, as I mentioned, is just go ahead and show or add in all my new layers. Currently, right now, I only have one layer. This is the one layer that you will always have is a zero layer. The color for it is it's going to be white. The line type is going to be continuous. It's going to be unlocked, which means that we can actually use it. Freeze, you don't really have to worry about right now, just because this is more for in paper space, and we'll talk about paper space later on. And then on and off is just saying, hey, do you want to show what's on this layer or not show what's on this layer? So pretty much if you never change any of this, it's perfectly fine. You can make an AutoCAD drawing, no problem. If you were to hit the on-off button, well, this is the current layer. So let me keep the current layer on. Let me keep that on. I'm going to come up here to the top right here where you see these four icons. They look like three sheets of paper stacked on top of each other. One has a yellow star, one has a blue icicle, one has a red X, and one has a green check mark. The green check mark just stands for set current layer, which allows you to pretty much straightforward to set the current layer. If you have more layers, then you can make that the one. As you can see here, I actually expand this out a little bit also. Where it says status, has a green check mark. Whenever you see that green check mark, that is the current layer. Next to that is the red X one. This is just to delete a layer. That's pretty straightforward. Red X is usually to delete something. This blue icicle is to freeze layers in different viewports and stuff like that. And again, viewports you guys don't know too much about yet. Viewports are just for working in paper space. And then the last one's going to be set a new layer, which is the one with the yellow star next to it. And that's what we want to do right now. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And now it says layer 1. I am going to call this dimensions. Hit enter, and boom. Now we have a brand new layer that we can actually access, use, do stuff with. But I'm going to keep going one step further, or a couple steps further. We'll know we want to have a couple of hidden lines in our drawing. So we'll just hidden lines. We also know we want to have construction lines. So we'll call that construction. We also know we want to have not hidden lines, but heck, we'll just call them phantom lines. We'll do that. Phantom lines. We also know that we want to have, I'm just gonna, just so we can kind of see everything. We also know that we want to add in here object lines. So I'll just call these objects. I'm just kind of making this up as I go. Some of your drawings may or may not have this similar to it, but you know, I just want to have enough that we can kind of play around with. This might be good enough for right now. I can't really think of anything else that we might run into. Center lines. I guess we can add center lines as well. Yeah, let's do center lines. Center lines. Hit enter, and there we go. That's good. All right. So now what we can do is again kind of just go through down the line, figure out what everything is. Of course, on is just basically turning the layer on or off, which just says, hey, do we want to show what's on this layer or do we not want to show what's on this layer? Next to that is freeze, which I mentioned to you. Freeze is just going to be all about the viewports in our paper space, so we don't really have to do anything with that. But if I were to click on this, it would turn into a blue icicle. Let me click on this one now so you can kind of see it better. Right here, you can kind of see now this is a blue icicle, and so that you can thaw it after that, thaw or unfreeze, whatever you want to call it. So you can just really click it on, click it off, really that simple. Same with on off, you can click it that way. And then you'll see it turns into a blue light bulb versus a yellow light bulb. Of course, blue light bulb means that it's off, yellow light bulb means that it's on. And then lock is the same exact thing. It turns into a blue lock icon. Whoops. There you go. It turns into a blue lock icon instead of an unlock icon. That lets you know it's locked versus being unlocked. And lock just means that everything still shows, but you cannot access it. So you can't add anything to that layer. You can't modify anything that's already existing on that layer. You can't delete anything from that layer because it's locked in place. You can't, touch it. On off is just telling you that, hey, you can see the things on that layer versus not see them. Similar with plotting. So for example, if you had a drawing with a whole bunch of stuff on it and you want to plot it or print it, you can say, hey, we don't want anything that's like in construction layer to be printed. We just want all of our objects to be printed. So we'll just do that. And as you can see here, we have the printer with a red minus sign, kind of like a stop sign button, an icon next to it. So once you see that, you know that this will not be plotted or printed off. Then of course we can change the color of it. This I will do right now. So objects lines are going to be always white. Center lines, you can really make it whatever you want. I am going to make mine like a blue color. Take note of, I wish I could like point at the screen, but right here below my cursor, you'll see the numbers changing from 57, 67, 69, 45, stuff like that. That index color is just the color of AutoCAD's like actual number value for the color. The reason why I mention that is because on the homework, it'll tell you to make like a green color. And instead of having you pick whatever green's available, it'll say like green 92 or something like that. So make sure you guys are actually selecting the green that they tell you or the blue that they tell you, purple or whatever, based on that index color down there. I don't really do anything by the RGB values, or at least not for this stuff. My web development stuff I do, but AutoCAD not really. Um, so for my center lines, I'm gonna do this color for center lines, blue 140. I'll just click on it. You can see it change here, and then once I hit OK, you can also see it change right here also. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is just kind of go through and change all of these real quick, and you guys can do the same or not. All right, so now I just went ahead and set all my colors. I made my zero color. I usually don't change the zero layer, but I've changed the zero layer to that purple color just so I know that if I'm ever doing something and it turns purple, I know why. I don't want it to be on a zero layer, to be on the actual layer that I want it to be on. Line type I touched on a little bit before. Line type is very, very similar to this up here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Me circling this area up here, but you can change the line type and the line weight up here as well. This is globally, so everything that you do on here would be changed based off of this, unless you go ahead and change it in its perspective layer. So if you don't want a line to be a specific line type, you just want it to be normal, I wouldn't change any of this. But if you do want it to be a specific line type, you can go ahead and change it here, which the first thing you have to do is go to the line type, click on it. Right now it just says continuous. The first thing you want to do is load your line types first. So I can hit load, and then you'll have all of the different line types available to you. What I like to do is just load all my line types first, and then set them later on, just so I don't have to keep loading them one by one. So I do know that I want to do center lines, so I just go ahead and grab my center line. What I'm doing now is just holding down the control button on the keyboard. The control button on the keyboard allows me to no, I don't want that one. The control button on the keyboard just allows me to click on more than one object by skipping everything else in between it. If I hold down Shift, and clicked on like dash dot, as you can see, all of those now are selected. But if let me click on that again. If I hold down Control skips over everything, but still selects the second object. So I can have multiple objects selected before I hit OK. And then what I'm going to do is add in the center line, add in the dash line. I also want to add in hidden lines. Again, I'm just going to hold down Control, click hidden, go down some more. Phantom line, hold down Control, click on that. And I think that's about it. Sometimes I do zigzag just to kind of play around, but I'll skip that for this time. But if you want, you can still load it and just not use it. I can hit OK. So now I have all my line types loaded into here, and I can actually set them to my specific line. So right now I'm working with the center lines. Center line, of course, is going to be the center lines ones here. So I hit OK. You'll see. Oops. Hopefully you guys are still with me. I think my Zoom might have kicked for a little bit. Okay. I think I'm still with you guys. So yeah, so Hopefully you guys didn't miss too much. I think I just kind of looked over and it just came back. But all I did was just go ahead and load. All I did was I clicked right here where it says line type. Boom. Once I clicked that, I hit load. I loaded up all my ones that I knew I wanted. And then from there, I'm now setting them. So hopefully you guys are still with me there. Um, so yeah, so continuous. What am I on? Oh, phantom lines. Okay, so phantom lines, of course, I just want to do phantom line type. Hit OK. Construction lines, I usually leave construction line continuous. That's fine. Hidden lines, I'll click on that and I'll change that to actual hidden lines. Hit OK. Dimensions, I'll leave that. I'll leave that as continuous also. And then my zero layer, I really don't, like I said, I really don't need to change. If I want to, I can. As a matter of fact, I'll just go ahead and put that to zigzag line. I hit OK. So now I know that anything comes out zigzag. That's the reason why. And yeah, so I will go ahead and go to the line weight now. Line weight is just really how heavy or how thick that line is. I'll click on that just because, and I will make it like 0.5 or something like that. That's cool. All the rest of them, I'll leave default. I don't know, maybe construction lines I can make bigger. I usually don't, but I'll make these a little bit bigger. Maybe like a 0.35, I guess. That's fine. Transparency, I don't touch. New VP freeze, I don't touch either. Well, I won't say I don't touch. I don't usually touch this that much. Transparency, just really a value that you have to set to see how transparent an object is. I never really change the transparency, so I really don't touch that, but you can if you want to as well. Just depend on how transparent or non-transparent you want an object. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna make this one a little bit thicker, like a 1. And then I'll change the transparency. Let's just change the transparency to like 60. Hit OK. And that way I can show you something else here as well. So this is all you have to do to set your layers. Setting your layers is really that simple. Just hit this yellow star button up here at the top. This will allow you to add a new layer. Once you add a new layer, you can name it. If you ever mess up on a layer, you can right click on it and go down to rename layer right here. You can always rename the layer. And after you rename the layer, you can do some other stuff too if you want to, but not a major deal. You can always freeze layers here as well on the viewports. You can delete the layers and you can set current. Like I said, if you want to, you can click hidden lines, click on that set current, and now as you can see, hidden lines has that green check mark next to it, and the zero layer no longer has it. I can make the center lines the current layer. I can just really switch in between if I want to. The only time the layer can't be the current layer if it's on. So if I hit this on button to turn it off, I get a warning that says, hey, the current layer will be turned off. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep that current layer on, or do you want to turn off that current layer? If I turn off the current layer, you can turn it off, but now when you go back to AutoCAD, you won't be able to do anything because that layer is off technically. Well, yeah, I guess you can do stuff, but you won't be able to see it because that layer is off. So I'll just go ahead and turn that back on. Lock layers, again, you can't modify it, change it, and we'll go over this here shortly also. And I got all my colors set, my line types changed, line weights, and all that good stuff. All right, so the first thing I want to do is just show you guys up here again. Everything is synced up. If I hit this drop down, you see all the layers. You see right next to it is the on-off, the thaw, and the lock. So I can, easily, I don't have to always go to layer properties. Layer properties is usually just when you want to add a new layer. From there, I usually just do everything straight from here. You can change your layers, and you can see over here also for your properties on this layer, the color, the line weight, and the line type. These are all set based on these specific layers. So if I change it to construction lines, you'll see that change. If I change it here to my phantom lines, you'll see that change again. So again, these properties are based on these layers. So yeah, so I'm gonna make a line, and this line again is on a 0 layer. Remember, the 0 layer is zigzag at point like 1 line weight. I think it's like 1.0 line weight. So I'll go ahead and just make a straight line. I'm gonna make it like this short actually, because I just want to zoom in on it so you guys can really see it. It might be a little hard to see just because it's purple, but if I hover over it, it turns white. And as you can see here, one thing is incorrect. So the first thing that is correct about it is that it's actually zigzag. The one thing that is incorrect though is the line weight, and that's because I have not turned on my line weight button or whatever. So first thing we have to do is come over here to the bottom right, just kind of circling my mouse here just so you guys know where I'm at. Over here at the bottom right, hit this little 3 hamburger icon button here, and I have to come all the way up here to where it says line weight and click on that. Please note that when you click on this, it doesn't turn on or off the line weight. It only adds the icon to your quick access menu at the bottom so that you can turn it on or off. So I'm just going to add it first. Boom. And now it's right here. It looks like 3 piano keys. 3 piano keys is what it looks like. And from there, I can turn on or off. Remember, anything that is turned on has a blue background. So all of these objects here have a blue background, so they're on. The line weight is not on, so it doesn't have a blue background. But once I click on it, now you can kind of see on the screen the zigzag line that I just created is a little bit more bold. So again, I can turn it off for the line weight, turn the line weight back on. Again, I don't know if you can really see it that well because it's a dark purple. Matter of fact, I'll change the color for it. Let's change the color for our 0 layer. And let's make it more like a bright pink. X out of that. And did that actually, let me check the property of it. I guess it did change. It still looks kind of like that purple color, but whatever. So yeah, hopefully you guys can see that. Like I said, change the line or turn on and turn off the line weight. The line weight is set, but it doesn't have to be on. I think the reason why they give you the option to turn it on and turn it off is because you can use up a lot of like GPU computer power in order to show that. So there's no reason for you to have a humongous drawing where everything is all thick and bold. And using up all that computer power, you can just still have it what you want it to be, and effectively use the program. But I will turn it on just so you guys can see the difference, and then start doing other stuff. So now what I'm going to do is draw a construction line, and this construction line is just going to be like this. And wait a second, didn't we say that we wanted our construction line to be brown, I think it was, and continuous? So why is it zigzag like that? Well, it's zigzag like that because I never did go ahead and change my line or my layer. So my layer was still set to the 0 layer. You can kind of see it up here. So if I wanted to, I can just click on it, right click, go to properties, and just say, hey, I want the layer for this to be my construction layer. Boom, that easy. And now you can see here, it is now this brown color. It is continuous. I think I did make this a little bit thicker also. Let me see if I turn off. Yes, I did make construction lines a bit thicker also, so that's why it looks like that. But this is it without the line weight. This is it with the line weight. And then this one here, this is also construction line. I'm not going to do the same method to change this one. What I'm going to do now is click on it. I'm just going to come up here to where all my layers are, and I'm going to change it to construction this way. So there's 2 ways of changing layers. You can do it the way that I just showed you at first, which actually just changes that one layer or one object to that other layer. And then up here, this layer is still the 0 layer. But if I click on it now, this one, and I just change it to my construction layer, it allows me to do it the same way. And then it goes back to my 0 layer that way. So 2 ways to go about doing it. If I want to do another construction layer, the smart thing to do is just go ahead. And that's why I always change my colors and change my line types, just so that I know, if something going on. If I want to do another layer, I can just do boom, go to construction. Now I'm in a construction layer and it's set to the construction layer. As long as I don't have an object selected, it'll remain the construction layer. If I have an object selected, it'll just change that object to that layer, then go back to the original. But this time I didn't have an object selected, so when I set it to construction, it's going to remain construction. Then I can go back to my construction line here, and then just create a new construction line. Boom. One thing I do want to note is that these, remember we changed the transparency of our 0 layer, so that's why you can kind of zoom in. That's why here you can see, well, actually this is not a good example because that's on top of there. So let me make another. I'm gonna go back to my 0 layer. I'm gonna make another line here. I'm just gonna make it like this. Boom. Now if I zoom in at this location, you can kind of see here. Let me see if I zoom in some more. You can kind of see here where the brown line kind of peaks over the pink line. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but the brown line kind of peaks over the green line just because our transparency isn't great. So if I go back to my layer properties, let's change the transparency down to like 20. So now you can't really, now the pink really looks a whole lot brighter and you can't really see through it as much. And let's go back the other way now. Instead of 20, let's do the full 90. You can't make it 100 because that'll be completely invisible, but we'll do 90. Now you can like barely see that zigzag line now. So that's just what changing the transparency does. It allows you to like, draw stuff and then kind of like hide it a little bit, make it less visible so that you can draw stuff on top of it. So yeah, after that, I just want to kind of show you here now. Again, changing layers, center line. If I want to make something a center line, I can just make that line. Boom. Now you can see I have now a line, long straight line, a gap, a short line, a gap, then a long line, a gap. So it just kind of alternates that way. Phantom line is very similar. It just has 2 short lines instead of just 1. So I'll make a phantom line. And remember, in order to do that, you just have to change the layer. That's all. So here's a phantom line. We put on the phantom line layer. It's green. You have a long line, 2 dashes or 2 short lines, and then a long line, 2 short lines, long line, 2 short lines. And then from there, again, we can do dimensions. So if I do a dimension, I'll just do that, boom, that way. I can dimension this one also, boom, and they come up yellow. Regular objects were just white, so I can just do a regular like square or something like that. Boom. Again, I can add in dimensions, boom, boom. But they are white. I don't want them to be white. My dimensions should be yellow. So let's just go ahead and change them to yellow. Again, I'll just click on that one, click on that one, click up here, click on dimensions, and now they take over the dimension properties. I think that was it really. Oh, hidden lines. I didn't do hidden line yet, so let's just do hidden lines just because. Boom. And I'll just do a hidden line from here to here. And hidden line is just pretty much a dash line, just multiple short dashes. All right. So that is pretty much how layers work. All you have to do again is just change the drop down, go to a different layer. And one thing I just noticed is this layer right here. This layer is called def points. And I always joke with the class, this layer right here, I'm gonna just click on it. I always joke with the class, def points cause def. And the reason why I say that is because whatever you do on this def point layer, you can like not undo. For whatever reason in the world, def point layer comes up. I haven't really Googled, searched it, or whatever. But as you can see right here, is the plot is grayed out. So if you ever do anything on def points, you might as well restart your drawing over again because you can't do anything with it. It'll allow you to create objects on that layer, but what it won't allow you to do is pretty much anything else. Um, I don't even think you can like delete stuff once you make it on that layer. It's like super weird. I have no clue what it's for. So just keep that in mind. If you ever see your layers at def points, if you ever see def points, run and hide super fast because you'll and the headache that you'll get from dealing with it will cause literal death. Just kidding, but yeah. Um, so I mentioned def points layer. I showed you guys how to make layers, showed you guys how to add them. So now what we can do is just kind of play around with them. So if we wanted to, this hidden lines layer, if we wanted to turn it off, well, actually, I'm gonna turn off the dimensions layer just because that's really easy to see. So I can click here, my dimensions layer, this little light bulb here I can turn off. As soon as I click on it, all my dimensions disappear. That makes it really, really nice when you're working on stuff because you can like have a whole bunch of information there and not really need it. So you can just go ahead and turn it off as long as it's on the proper layer and so on and so forth. So again, just hitting that light bulb turns everything on and off. I'm not going to worry about freeze just yet. Again, it's just more for space. Locking layers, I will do that. So let's say I'm gonna lock my phantom line, my hidden line, and I'm also gonna lock what's the green, what's the blue one, the center line. So I just lock all three of those. So if I come here, if I want to click on my zero layer, my zigzag object, I can do that. It turns blue, no problem. Even my construction lines, I can click on that, it turns blue, no problem. My dimensions, I click on those, no problem there. But now my other layers, if I hover over it, you see this little lock icon pops up, and they actually look to be a little bit grayed out. So if I try to click on it, it turns blue, but it won't let me do anything with it. So you don't see the standard. Let me unlock this layer. There we go. So if I click on this, there it is. If I click on this purple layer, the hidden line layer, you see that blue square on it in the middle. You also see the blue square at the endpoints, both the endpoints. That allows me to actually, click it, drag it, move it, do whatever I want to with it, and so on and so forth. But with this green layer, the phantom line layer, those aren't accessible. Even if I think if I even hit delete key, it won't allow me to click on that to delete. If I try to do a copy, I try to click on that, it's not letting me do anything. So just keep that in mind when you have those layers and they are locked. You can't really touch them at all. I don't even think you can add. Let's see if I'm on a center lines layer and I try to add an object. Yeah, so it does let me add the object, but it just remains locked. So now I can click on it, but I can't do anything else with it. Alrighty. So that was turn on and off, freeze, that was locking. Now down here is turn off the layer of a selected object. So if you didn't want to actually do it that way, you can actually just click on one object, boom. We know this is the dimension layer, so we can hit that, and we can turn it on, turn it off. If you want to turn back on all layers, you can click on that. Next would be isolate. Isolate would be to the opposite of turn on or off. So if I want to isolate a layer, I would just click it and then it will turn off all the other ones. So if I want to isolate my construction line layer, I'll click on that, hit enter. Now everything else disappears except for that one layer that I clicked on. I think if I do unisolate, that'll bring everything back. Freezing, thawing, again, I will just wait on that one. This button here is locking, so we can lock or unlock different layers. And then right here, again, make current. So I can do hit make current. And currently right now I'm on the center lines layer. You can see that up here at the top. If I wanted my construction lines layer to be current, I can just click that and then boom, now my construction line is the current layer. Match layer, I can utilize that as well. So for example, if I wanted my zigzag lines to no longer be zigzag, I can do a match layer, select the object, boom, that's the object, hit enter, and then the destination layer. The destination layer would be this purple one here, the hidden line one. I'll click that, and now my object line is now the same as my hidden line layer. One thing I did wish that they had in this program is telling you how many objects are on a layer. It doesn't really tell you how many, so if there was an object on a layer versus 0 objects on that layer, I wish it would tell you that, but whatever. Not a major deal. All right, so I went over line type scale or line weight. You can always go here to line weight settings. I don't think I really touched on that. But you know, all these units are in millimeters versus inches. Currently display the line weight is turned on. I can turn that off, hit OK. And that also does the same thing as this button down here. You can go here to line weight settings and turn it on and off there. You can change the scale. Oh, that reminds me, line type scale. So one thing about your line types as well is that you can change the scale of them, which basically makes them, and I always get this mixed up. So the best one to show you is on like these hidden lines. So how do I want to do this? Let's do that. Sorry about that. All right, so line type scale, and I think it's just if you type it in, it's just LTS. Yeah, LTS is just line type scale, and I'll click on that. First thing that they want you to do is to enter the new line type scale. It's always set to 1 because that's just the original value. If I double that to 2, hit enter. Now it's going to basically regenerate everything to that value there. So as you can see, all of these kind of change. I'm going to hit Control Z so you can kind of see the change again. Control Z, that's what it looked like before. Then I set the line type scale to 2. I hit Control Y now just to redo it. Boom, and that's what it looks like now. Now what I'm going to do is LT scale again. And from 2 this time, I'm going to do more like 0.5. Hit enter, and there we go. So now this is at 0.5 scale for the line type. So now these phantom lines are a whole bunch closer. The lines are a whole lot smaller. So the smaller the number, the closer objects are. And if I hit a Control Z where it goes back to 2, the larger the number, the more spread out they are. This comes in really big handy because what you'll see sometimes is that your drawings, like this is only like 13.8 inches, right? But if we made a line that was like 100 inches long, let's say we make this line here about 100 inches long, and I made my line type scale 1. It's kind of hard to actually see that the line type scale is even there. So sometimes you may have to change that. Even so, if you had a line type scale of 1 and it was like really, really small object or small line, um, it'll be kind of hard. So you might have to change your line type scale every now and then. You can also change the scale of individual objects just by right clicking, go to properties. Um, Line type scale of this is 1. We can change this to 2, hit enter, and now it changes that object individually. I can change it to like 5, even more. Oops, did it go? There you go. Now just change that one to 5. So now you can see that this blue line only has one long line, then one short line, then one long line, while everything else is still standard there. And I can, I can do the LTS again, and I can change everything back to 0.5. And then now, if I click on this blue line, it's still set to 5, but the scale is based on the original length of the global. When I do the LTS command, that sets everything globally. So this 5 line type scale is based off of that 0.5. So you really have to kind of think about which way that you want to go about doing it. You can just change them all individually as you need, or you can just change everything globally as you need as well. Alrighty. So yeah, I went over layers, creating layers, changing the colors of the layers, changing the line type of the layers, changing the line weight of the layers. I had to change the line weight so that you can actually see the line weight. Change the scale so you actually see the scale if you need to. And I think, let me see, was there anything else? I'm just going over here to the syllabus real quick. Syllabus for week 5, the layer, the colors, the line type scale, the line weight, properties, match props, text, mtext, text edit, spell, qtext, text fill. Alrighty, and I think because I was really going off of our assignment 5 where we had to create the layers and stuff like that. I may just group text. Well, no, I do text. I do text. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so jumping back into it, it's going to kind of scroll down here a little bit. And we have text, because I think in your homework you got to put some text in. So we have text here. You have 2 different types of text, single line and multi-line. Single line, you can do similar things as multi-line, but multi-line actually gives you a whole lot more. So I'll start with single line. So single line text, first thing that they want you to do is click a starting point. You can go down here and set the justification or the style of it. I generally don't change any of that. If I want to, I can set the justification to like center or something, but that's really all about it. So if I wanted to go from here, boom, just set the specific height. The height is usually 0.2. I myself don't generally ever change that. 0.2 is about like this small. For the purpose of the video, I might just make it like, I might make it 0.75 just for this video. 0.75 line height. Specify the rotation. Rotation is just like if you want to, it's going to write from left to right horizontally. But if you wanted to write from left to right vertically, or I mean up and down vertically, or at an angle or something like that, you can change that. I'm going to leave mine at 0 just so you guys can see it well. Boom. And now we get this blinking icon here, blinking cursor, I should say, where you can add some text. So this is some text. It's pink, which means that I'm on the hidden lines layer. So I'll just go ahead and hit, I think if I hit, no, it's not a multi-line. So if I hit enter, oh, it does go down. So what I would have to do is right click or left click, left click. It gets you to a new line, and then I always just hit escape. But since we made right, I think I'm back in. I think the screen cut out again real quick. Um, but yeah, since we made this text to be centered, that's why it is centered this way. Because we clicked this point right here to be our starting point, but since we made it centered, it pushed everything to the left and to the right. To do that again, single line tool, change the justification to just left justified. Click that similar point again. Line height still 0.75, no rotation on that. And I'll just write this is more text. So now you can see when I put it out, it's a little bit different. So they got one blue dot there saying that, hey, this is a starting point, and this is also my my left justification. This is saying that we got a starting point here, but the center justified. We can always, move this over if we wanted to. Just pick it up and drag it, or use the move command, either one. But better off to set it the way you want to first, rather than doing it that way. And then, of course, we had multi-line text. It's going to be very similar also, but we're just going to specify the first corner. Corner is going to be about there. Then we want to specify the opposite corner because we want to just, set how big we want this to be. It's like a huge paragraph. We can come in, set the height of it. I will say this time I want the height to be like 0.25, and this is the text height, remember, text height. So set the text height to be 0.25. I'll do a center justification again. And I think this is, so you'll see down here it says TL, TC, TR. The T just stands for top. So top left, top center, top right. ML, MC, MR is middle left, middle center, middle right. BL, BC, BR is bottom left, bottom center, bottom right. So I'll do like bottom center just so you guys can see it. Line spacing, I'll leave line spacing the same. No rotation on that. The width, I'll leave that the same. And just, we'll do 2 columns. Let's do, will that? No. No columns. So yeah, so now I can just drag out my second point. If I know I want this much text, I'll just create a box that big. And then I can start texting just a whole bunch of stuff so you guys can see it. Again, I did bottom center. So that's why you see it's coming up from the bottom. And everything is centered. And I think that's good enough. You guys get the point. And then there we go. So now I have all of this text here. Again, I'm on the hidden lines layer. I probably should. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and make a text layer. Let's do that. Text. And we'll make that this color. And we'll also make that the current layer. Exit out. And now I want to just click on that and put it on my text layer. There we go. So yeah, so that's how you do that. Another thing that you can take advantage of is under here, under annotations. I didn't really want to go over this just yet, but I'll show it to you anyway. This first portion here, it allows you to set different standards for different text. So if I just click on this A tool, you can click on any of these if you wanted to later on in the future. This one's dimensions, this one's leader lines, and this one's tables, but the top one is for text. And it just really allows you to set the style of your text, or you can come here to new and just make a new style. So you can name it whatever you want, set the new style, hit OK. We'll set this to be Constantinta. I don't have any numbers, so you might not be able to see the difference. Elephant, yeah, elephant, you can see the difference. Font style, we can do regular or you can do italicized. The height. let's do the height at 0.75, see what happens. 0.75. Effects. We won't touch any of that. I just want to make it look different. And I want to also, width factor, that's fine. I'll hit apply on that. I'll also make it set it to current, and I hit close. So if I go back up here to annotation, now you'll see in this little drop down, you'll see also the standard, annotative, and then new style. I click on standard, it'll change it to that. If I click on new style, it'll be that. So now when I do a multi-line text tool, multi-line text, I'll just go here to there, and I will start typing. So now, as you can see, I have my layers. I mean, not my layers. Do you want to save, change your text? Yes. I have my text already set up. So this is a really quick and easy way for you guys to switch between your different types and stuff like that. I actually probably should have changed the weight or the width of this line tool, because that's really close together. Yeah. So it allows you to, so when you do your multi-line text tool, again, you have all of these options down here at the bottom. But instead of having to change these options every single time, you can just go ahead here to annotations. You can set a new style, exactly what you want it to be. And then anytime you want to use it, you can have as many as you want. Anytime you want to use it, you can just go ahead and change it. So if I go back to manage styles, let's say I didn't want that font to be elephant. I want it to be like GG. Yeah, let's do GG. I don't know if it'll change automatically or if it'll, yeah. So now I just change that style. So anything that was in there, you can always edit it once you have these all set up. If you didn't have it set up, it'll be harder to go in and, change it, edit it, or whatever. But once you have that set up, it makes life a whole lot easier doing it that way. We did text, style, we did multi-line text, text edit. Text edit, if we want to edit the text, again, just click on it. And then we got a new box up here that comes up that allows us to edit it. But again, if you already have yours set, you don't have to worry about this. If you want to, you can change or set it to a certain style, or you can, change it how you want to, stuff like that. This is similar to the array tool. You just get a new box up here that pops up, text editor, so that way you can change things that way. All right, so again, if you have any questions on that, please do let me know. I am here to assist. I'm actually going to go ahead and stop sharing. How do you stop sharing? Cool. It looks like the lights went down also. Yeah, so if you guys have anything else in regards to that, please do let me know. Feel free to reach out to me. Hopefully this helps you guys out with your homework. I usually go over the homework as well in class, so I'll do that here, which I have to share my screen again. It's coming up. Here we are. So for homework this week, of course, we have to do a whole bunch of layers. It tells you exactly what to name all the layers. It tells you what objects actually go on the layers. It tells you what colors go on layers. Take note of the number, that index number I mentioned right next to it. And it tells you the line type. Pretty much all of them are going to be continuous except for the last three, which are going to have the center line. Number 2, the hidden lines. No, that's continuous also. So just 2 of them you have to change. No transparency change, no line weight change, nothing like that. And then from there, this is what we're going to do. Let me see if I can rotate. There we go. You're pretty much just going to make this here. So you have a pressure relief valve. You got this boiler here. You got a couple of pipes. Got a couple of angle fittings. You got this air vent with an expansion tank. and a control valve also. That means you'll have to add in all this text. Please don't forget the text. You have to add in the P1, P2, P3, pressure relief valve, all that good stuff. You got the information for the boiler. You've got the information for the air vent. Got the information for the expansion tank. Information for your elbows, your relief valves, control valve, and then also your text information also. So all your text now, your title block. I know in all the homeworks before we had to add in a title block. Well, now we had to add in a title block and add information into it. So now you know how to use text. So this shouldn't be a problem. You have the text height, you have the font for the text, all that good stuff. And then this would be here will be the final drawing. Sorry. So the top portion up here will just be a quick schematic of what it looks like, and then down here will be the actual drawing. So the last page is the actual drawing of what I want you guys to do. So you'll have to actually draw that and put it there, draw that, put it there, draw that, put it there, draw that, put it there, and then make sure the scale is correct on it. And then the scale would be, this is up one scale, I think this is up 1 inch equals 1 foot, 3 inches equals 1 foot or something like that. It's kind of small, I can't really see it here. But on here, oh no, I think, are these? Okay, so the main one here on the left, it looks like 1 inch equals 1 foot. On the left is 1 inch equals 1 foot. This is the full schematic. The other ones, the individual ones, looks like 1 inch equals 1 inch, 1 inch equals 1 inch. So these are like actual two sides. And then these ones are 3 inches equal 1 foot. So these are not as scaled up as the other ones. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, you guys can reach out to me and let me know if you have any questions about that. Alrighty. So that concludes our class for today. Definitely, again, like I said, let me know if you guys have any questions. Hopefully this video works out well for you guys. And yeah, that's about it. Did my computer just freeze?